Hello, good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning.
Yeah. So, welcome to your third session of induction. For masters, it's your first day of induction. Today, you'll be having a session on entrepreneurship, and we have among us Ms. Prachi Mahambare. Hello, ma'am. We welcome you all.
Yeah, hello and
Yeah.
good morning to all.
Yes, I'll just quickly introduce ma'am to everyone. Prachi Mahambare, an entrepreneur herself, is the founder and director of Profex. She is leadership, personality grooming, and communication coach, a gold medalist of Mumbai University. She has done her post graduation in economics. She has 12 years of training experience with some of the major clients like Telco, Ericsson, Wardlow, Proton Synergy. She is a trained professional in communication skills, leadership skills, time management, and personality grooming. We are glad you could come among us, ma'am. And may I request you to start your session now?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for this lovely introduction first. And and thank you all, I mean, all the authorities of TIAC University, TIAC Maharashtra University for giving me this opportunity. Why I'm so glad, and I'm excited today because after I think 3 or 4 years, I am going to talk about this topic. So it's going to be an exciting session for me as well. Because when 3 or 4 years ago, when I actually talked about the same topic, I would tell you one thing, like whatever studies that I did, or on this topic, it actually, and when I thought that I would just again brush up everything, the whole scenario of entrepreneurship has changed. Absolutely, it has changed. The way people are looking at it, because see, there are two things into it. One is pre-pandemic. If you really see the entrepreneurship, it was more of a business that I want to start a business, and then I just look out for some opportunities over there, and this is how, okay, people used to look at it. But post pandemic, two things happened. First is some people lost their jobs. Okay, so that is why they thought that we should start something on our own. And the second was like, there was a, I mean, they wanted to do something, or they could see the opportunity because of this pandemic. I'll give you an example of it. There are many people who started online business, right? Now also we are actually talking online. They were like, I have been in this profession for around 12 years, but I think I actually conducted maximum webinars during this time, because now we are so much comfortable, online. I mean, teaching online, learning online, or this is like, I think this is a new normal. Of course, the things are going to change a bit. Because we are social animals and we like to meet the people. So yeah, the things are going to change. But then this is something that we have accepted. So that's why I'm saying that this concept of entrepreneurship has changed a lot. Now, how, why am I saying this? That I'm going to tell you about that. But let me just share the screen with you because I want to show you certain statistics also. Okay. Okay, let me share the screen. Okay. So this is what entrepreneurship looks like. People are going in one direction, and the entrepreneur thinks certain things differently, and that is why he sees some opportunity. Seeing the opportunity, then looking at it in a different manner, having a plan is absolutely very important. So entrepreneurship, how do we define that? It is just like the person who starts, who creates, or who manages a new business. That is nothing but the entrepreneurship. I'll tell you one thing. This is very interesting data, and you would definitely like to hear this. And our I mean, if you look at our country, more than 50% of the people are self-employed. I mean, when of course, when I came to know, it was 70%, by the way, but now again, it has come to 50%. I mean, it was like in the beginning, we did not have, I mean, if you see before 1991, there were no many opportunities for if you want to start a business and all. But now, because we have accepted the market economy, we have opened up our economy. Now there is more and more competition. Of course, competition is a part and parcel of market economy. So if you see from that angle, now it is absolutely different scenario. The perspective has changed. Now, one more thing has changed after the pandemic, and that is now the entrepreneurship, the competition is not you versus me. It is you and me is equal to we. Now, I'll tell you one example. I mean, there was one founder of Agri Supply Chain. Okay, his name is Prabhav, and he told once that he built a virtual network with scientists during lockdown, because see, innovation is a foundation of entrepreneurship. So he actually did that, and now during the lockdown he did it, and now he thinks he actually is collaborating with more and more people. I mean, agriculture and science, of course, they go hand in hand, but this kind of collaboration is going to be really important. It's going to be fruitful. It will be lucrative for him. So this is what is happening. So it is not about I'm doing the business, I'm competing with my rivals, but it is more of the collaboration and cooperation now. So this is what has changed post pandemic. The whole scenario, the whole attitude, the everything has changed because of this. And as I said, like many people, I mean, the consumers also have accepted the online shopping. So, I mean, this is also again the new avenues that are opened for everyone. Education, healthcare, remote working. It's a multi-sector collaboration if you really see. So it's not only one, it actually suppose now it's online shopping. There are so many people involved in it. So we are creating the jobs. And that is why this entrepreneurship has become so much important to talk about. So people don't want to just rely on placements now. So they want to just start something on their own, and that is called self-employed. Of course, there is little difference between self-employed and entrepreneurship. I'm going to talk about it little later. But then now, why this is important? I'm going to give you a very simple example. Now, this guy is a graduate, okay, and he has a degree. Yeah, he has talent and skills. He has a passion to work. But now what happens is he doesn't have a job, so no money. So now what to do? This unemployment kind of a thing happens. I mean, there are many people who are unemployed. They're educated, unemployed. Okay. Now, the solution to this kind of a scenario can be entrepreneurship. Otherwise, what happens is we are actually facing brain drain. Now, what is brain drain? Is the people who are very intelligent and then they want to settle in some other countries. Yeah, so that is called the brain drain. Obviously, what do? They take the education over here. Of course, they serve the other countries. Their intellect is used by someone else. And that is something by some companies. And that is what is happening. That is called the brain drain, because they are so much, what you say, they're educated as well. So we don't want that to happen in our country if you want the economy to grow. And more than that, when it is a developing economy, then just imagine one thing and understand one thing. You have ample opportunities over here. What do you mean by, I mean, what do we mean by developing economy? Is there are many sectors where we have to work upon. We have not reached the saturation point. We are developing. So there are so many opportunities over here. So India is going to have such opportunities in future. And that is why it's very important to learn what is entrepreneurship is all about. Of course, why it is so important? There are 4 things which are absolutely important in entrepreneurship, or if there are many entrepreneurs. The first is the standard of living. It's not only of the entrepreneur, because he is creating the job, the standard of living of many other people also rises. So that is the reason why entrepreneurship is so important. It has the capacity to pull out the people out of the poverty line. Okay, so that is what entrepreneurship can do to many, because see, entrepreneur is what, he starts a business and he needs a lot of people to help him. So of course he is creating a job, but innovation is something that's the soul of entrepreneurship. If you have innovative mind, or if you can hire the innovative people, then your business can accelerate. It's as simple as that. I'll give an example. If it is a fruit vendor, okay, he knows where to sell his fruits, because he knows the exact location he should be in, how he should talk to his customers. You know, these are the entrepreneurs. I mean, you don't have to go out and see Tatas and Ambanis only. These people are also entrepreneurs, because they know exactly what should they do if they want to start a business. And then they have the innovative ideas. You know, I mean, the way they write the rates, and then the way they convince you, the way they negotiate. So everything is actually different. I mean, if you go to each vendor, he has a different technique to convince the customers. This is something called entrepreneurship, and that is why it's very important. Of course, it creates a lot of wealth as well. Very important, because wealth is something that you do. Of course, I mean, that is the whole soul of entrepreneurship again, because we want to have the profits, and that is why we have started the business. So that is very important. So wealth creation happens through entrepreneurship. Now, so what we do is we create employment, we provide people the needs and the wants. Now, innovation, what does innovation mean? It's like when you have innovated certain products, your life, I mean, the customer's life is going to be easy. I mean, it's as easy as that. So that is why innovations also make your life comfortable. Now, this online shopping, what is it doing? It is actually making your life comfortable. That is what innovation and entrepreneurship does. And that is why it's so much important. Instead of you working and your intellect is getting used by some other companies, you are starting your own business, and then you are trying to innovate, you are creating the job, you are actually making wealth or creating the wealth. So that is why entrepreneurship is so important. Okay, before I go to the next slide, I'm going to ask you a question. If you can answer me in the chat box, that would also be okay. Do you know entrepreneurs in India? Any names? If you want to unmute, you can say, or otherwise you can directly type it in the chat box as well. Some names? Yeah, who wants to say that? Can anyone? Okay, I'm getting some. Okay, BVG group. Yes, that is from Kaustubh. Anyone else? Do you know anyone who is an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur in India or abroad? Have you heard of Elon Musk? Yeah, of Tesla? Yeah, definitely. You must have. Okay, Dr. Vivek Bindra, right? Kunal Shah, yeah, Ola. Very good, Kaustubh. That's right, Ola. And yeah, Kunal Shah. Dr. Vivek Bindra, yes, that's right. So you know, Praful Bilori. Okay, that's right, Aditya. Okay. Aman Gupta, yes. Advait. Okay, thank you so much for actually sharing the names. And yeah, they are all successful entrepreneurs, and I'm going to show you some more names into it. Is, of course, you have said about some of them. Ola is something that I'm going to talk about. the Ola. I mean, who is the CEO of Ola is Bhavish Agarwal, right? And Ankit Bhatti. Now, how he started, I'll tell you. I mean, I'll just give you the brief introduction about him and how he started, how he came up with this idea. Actually, he is rather, he is an IIT graduate, okay, IIT Mumbai graduate. And of course, when he thought of, he just thought like, I should have my own business, okay. And he started with the holiday tours and packages and all. So the first company that he started was olatrip.com, wherein there was I mean, they used to offer the holiday packages to the people. Now, he, of course, he was from Bangalore, and he used to travel from Bangalore to Bangalore, okay, from Bangalore to Bandipur every day, or maybe in a week twice or thrice. So he used to use the cab at that time. Now, what used to happen was, like, once or twice, he actually, I mean, the whole cab service was really horrible. Because once what happened, like, he was just going somewhere, and in the middle of the way, that cab driver stopped the car. That he said, like, whatever the amount was decided, he said, like, I want something more than that. Now, he was so surprised to hear that. And of course, he negotiated and he did whatever he wanted to do, because in the middle of the highway, he was not going to get any other cab. This was the point when he thought that I would start my own business of cab service. And it would be, and he actually did it in such a way that people would feel safe. People, I mean, the service would be within 5 to 10 minutes, and it will be at this doorstep. This is how he started Ola Cabs, and he became successful. Obviously, what happened was, like, his parents were not in support of it in the beginning, because IIT graduate, and he wanted, I mean, he said, like, you will be reduced to a travel agent, and we don't want that to happen. But he was little convinced, and I think he could convince his parents as well. And today he is one of the very successful entrepreneur. Yeah, so the mindset has to change a bit, and we have to try. See, there is definitely a risk involved in it. Of course, I'm going to talk about the risks that are involved in entrepreneurship. But if you really see these Paytm, Byju's and all, of course, they must have taken the risk. Yeah. The failure rate of entrepreneurship is quite big, but still I'm going to come to that point as well, but not now. These are all definitely the successful entrepreneurs. Then I'm going to talk about the history. I mean, is this new to us? I mean, is this whole thing, entrepreneurship, is this new to all of us? It is not. If you really see from the Indus Valley civilization, I mean, before that also, if you want to go in the first century, okay, we actually had all the entrepreneurs. We had the, I mean, from the era of Rigveda, I would say. I mean, if you go back to Rigveda era, that time also, we had the entrepreneurs in India. The whole country, I mean, if you must have heard of it, that, you know, our country was a Sone ki chidiya and all. Why it was like that? Because of the entrepreneurship. We were actually used to export our goods, not importing, exporting. Now the things are different. We are importing more than exporting. Of course, the things are changing now, but then still. So exporting the things it's nothing new. It was nothing new. We knew all the technology. At that time, our technology was much advanced than the rest of the world. So definitely people wanted to buy from us. And this is something. So India I mean, it was definitely the country of entrepreneurs. The village artisans who used to work. So they were also entrepreneurs, because they used to work for themselves. The only thing which we lacked was, we never had, I mean, we never thought, like, you know, we should go out and learn some new technology. After, I mean, of course, we had our own, but then as the invaders started coming in, everything changed. Everything changed, because many things were destroyed. Many things were not given that much of encouragement by the government. And of course, why would they? Because they were the invaders. So that didn't happen. Now, after that, if you really see, when Britishers came to India, we all know the history that they wanted the raw material and then they used to sell the finished products in India. Now, this also killed many businesses in India. So what happened? We became only the traders and they became the entrepreneurs. So the role shifted. So everything shifted, everything changed. The innovations that stopped happening. So that is what happened during that time. I will definitely, yes, Aditya, I got your question and I will definitely answer all your questions, but little later, because let me just finish this a bit and you can actually have the questions in the chat box and we will definitely take all your questions, okay? So now, okay, that is what started happening in India. But then we got the independence. Now, the first challenge that we had after independence was pulling the people out of poverty, because we had illiteracy problem, unemployment problem, we had so many problems at that time. So we actually accepted the social economy. We were not a market economy, we were very closed kind of an economy. But after 1991, everything changed. Okay, what happened in 1991 is we opened the economy. Dr. Manmohan Singh was our finance minister at that time, and PV Narasimha Rao, who was the prime minister. And at that time, because we did not have the foreign reserves, we took the decision of opening the economy. And that is how we actually got into market economy only after 1991. But China actually did it, I think, in 1980s. Of course, their economy is more of a communist economy, but our economy is more of, yes, we actually opened the economy only after that. Opened in the sense we invited the foreign direct investment. That actually happened only after 1991. It started happening, but still it did not give encouragement to entrepreneurship as such, because all the already established brands, okay, if you really see, those were doing the business, or maybe new brands came into India. New brands in the sense, like till 1991 we had Videocon. Then who came? Then the Sony TV came, and all the others, the National and all those people, Philips, okay, they came in India. So we got introduced to new kind of the things only, or new products. That was only after 1991. Otherwise, like, we did not have. So we did not have that kind of thing. See, actually what entrepreneurship needs, the first thing that we need is a conducive framework, right? See, we need to have the conducive environment. Now, this environment should be at home also. If you really see, the people who already come from the business families, they go into business. Why? Because they know what is business, and even if they fail, what they can do. We don't know. Now, this whole idea of this webinar is to make you aware. Now, you saw that graduate guy in the beginning of the webinar when I said that he could go to the US or UK or maybe some European countries because he's not getting the job. Now, he was unaware, okay, of what this entrepreneurship is all about and what we can do for this. When you're not aware of it, how would you go into it? So people from that kind of a background, it's very easy for them to get into it. But if you don't have that kind of a background, then definitely you have to learn. So learning and get skilled. So it's very important for all of us. Yeah. Now, of course, I'm going to go to the next one. And that is, of course, we are so much interested to know about China, because see, there are so many similarities, and of course there are many differences also between these two countries, but still I'm going to take, because how now it is considered as a superpower. Forget about the other things that we hear of China and all. We are just going to purely looking at it from entrepreneurship point of view. Now, what happens is, in China, it's a mass entrepreneurship, in the sense, it is said that every day 10,000 new businesses are getting registered. This is the data which I got. Okay. So it's like, and of course, it is the second largest producers of unicorns. Now, what is unicorn? I'll tell you. When the business has the turnover of $1 billion or above dollars, $1 billion or above, it is said to be unicorns. And if you see in India, we have 38 unicorns. So they are much ahead of us. See, as long as entrepreneurship is concerned, they are much, much ahead of us. Okay, we have just started, I think. We have yet to go a long way. And that is why now, all the young people, if you see, the government is also encouraging the new people, the young people, to enter into the entrepreneurship rather than just doing a job. So this is what China looks like. I mean, China has definitely the second largest producers of unicorn, means like the amount of the number of people, the number of businesses that are successful is more in China than India. Of course, it done. Now the things are changing, but still we have a long way to go. And of course, we have a long way. We should not deny this fact. Now, of course, this Make in India has to be there, because I mean, this is what changed the whole perspective of us to look at made in India products. This pandemic, or maybe that Galwan Ghati war, okay, that has, I mean, I think so. I mean, if you have any other opinion, you can actually share it with me, because this is something that is not that, okay, this is something is happening, but the data says that. See, 2015, 19,000 startups, and 2019, 80,000 startups. After, I mean, Make in India was introduced in 2015 or 16. So definitely it is showing the changes, right? So why this Make in India? And of course, I said, like, why advantages of Indian startup is cultural diversity. Now, what does this mean? It's like if you go to Gujarat, Punjab, if you go to down to south, we have different kind of clothes that we wear. We have different festivals. We have different requirements. See, so the diverse market that we have the upper class, the upper middle class, then middle class, then lower middle class. See, we have variety of people. We have so many people. That's I said, we are developing economy. Take an advantage of it. So there is so much to do, so much. If you ask me, there should not be any unemployment in our country, because there is so much to do. The only thing is that we should be willing to do it. We should be willing to take those many efforts. And obviously the government has to support. I mean, there has to be some kind of support from society. Definitely from society also we need, and from our own family or something of that sort. So it is absolutely important. So this is Make in India has made a lot of difference, because these are the 25 sectors that government has selected, and they have the plans for this kind of sectors where they will provide some support from the government. And if a woman has started, then definitely there are more benefits to women if they want to start, if you want to go to startups. Okay, I'll just share one data. I mean, there was a survey conducted post-pandemic actually, and how many women are very positive about starting their own business. And in India, it was like more than 80% of the women, they said that we want to start our own business. So women were more positive towards starting the business rather than men. Maybe that men are the primary bread earners. So maybe because of that, they don't want to take the risk, might be the reason. But women, they know that they might be supported. They should get support rather. So that is why this survey said, and in India, it was the positive rate was much higher than Europe or maybe in America also, because people want to start something on their own. That is what I said, like the whole thing changed after the pandemic. The whole perspective to look at this changed after pandemic. See, so the change is still going on. It is still loading. Okay, we are still in that process where people want to start up. They have changed the mindset and everything. We have the unique challenges in India. Of course, I'm not saying that everything is hunky-dory. Definitely not. We are struggling a lot. Okay. Now, what are these struggles? You know what these struggles are? The main struggle is our rectapism, that is bureaucracy. Of course, in Make in India, one of the slogans that they have made is easy business. Okay, so the ease at which we do the business, and of course, government is going to really do that, and they are into process of doing it. But still, we have not reached that. Or maybe the one more challenge is infrastructure. We still don't have the infrastructure, so we have to work on infrastructure badly. Okay, we really have to work on it. And the second thing that we have to work on is the bureaucracy. Now, this is something stopping many people from entering into entrepreneurship, if you really ask me. So yeah, we have the unique challenges, but we have the unique opportunities also. That's something that we market. We have the ample money. That's what I said. Like, we have upper middle class, lower middle class, middle class. So if you want to start it, definitely it's going to happen. You know, these are like unique opportunities we have. We are developing. So yes, we are going to do. Okay, now this is the question for you. If you want to become an entrepreneur, okay, before that, yeah. So what are skills that you think that we should have? Tell me. Skills. Okay, I'm talking about the soft skills, not hard skills. Of course, technically we should, but apart from that, so any answers? What do we need? What are skills that we need to become an entrepreneur, according to you? Speaking to people and understand what is needed. Kaustubh, fantastic. This is the right answer. Because understanding is very important. We should know the market very well. Yes, that's very good point. Anything else? How to face the risk? Yes, very important. Otherwise, like, you will mess up the things. Definitely it is important. Yes, how to face the risk and what to do to face the risk. Yes, and how to minimize that. I'm waiting for the answers. Anything else that you think? Conviction. Yes, that is right, Kaustubh. That's right, conviction. Because if you're not convinced, how will you convince others about your business? You have to. It's like 110% conviction that you need. Obviously, yes. Okay. Answers over? Or should I wait for the answers? Okay. Do a proper research in the field you're working on. Yes. Nailed it. Very nice. Yeah. We have to do that proper research. And I'll explain that point to you. Okay. Okay. Very good answers. Yeah. Now, I'm just going to talk about, if there are many more answers, of course, I will discuss that little later. So this is what we need. We need to know about like what field that we are entering in. Okay, I'm going to tell you a very interesting thing. Okay, and that it will definitely help you to start any kind of a business. And that is, okay, I'm going to do that. This is called the Toyota Production System, 5 whys. Now this is the example. See, the problem statement is somebody ran through a red signal or red light. Yeah, why? Now you're going to ask why, 5 why questions. First is he was late for a work. Why was he late for work? Because he woke up late. Why he woke up late? Because the alarm clock broke. Why alarm clock broke? Because he didn't check if it worked. And why he didn't check? Because he forgot to do it. This was actually introduced in Toyota for the first time. And they realized one thing, that for any kind of a problem, the root cause of the problem is the person is unaware of something, or he doesn't know something, or he has not paid attention to certain things. So if you want to become an entrepreneur, you have to pay attention to certain things. If you think that this is something, a problem, okay, just write down the problem in one sentence, not more than that. Yeah. Then start asking the question, why, 5 times. The 5th time, you will understand the root cause of it. And then you will actually start working downside up. Okay, so you have to work on the root cause, and then you can go step by step. I'll give one more example of it. Okay, now this actually happened, okay, in one of the companies. When I was talking to them, actually I happened to just meet the CEO of the company. He was the founder, he was an entrepreneur. He started his company manufacturing unit in Indore first, and now he has one unit in Pune as well. So he told me once, now this is something had happened in his office, and he used this Toyota production system. I mean, so he said like the customer couldn't access certain information, okay, which was supposed to be accessed, and they started calling, and then they started complaining about it. We don't get that kind of an information on your server. So why? Because the server failed. There was some problem in the server. Now, why the server failed? Because it obscured the subsystem. The obscure subsystem was something that went wrong with it. And why it went wrong? The engineer did not. The engineer who was working, who did not know it properly. Why he did not know it? Because he was never trained. And why was he not trained? Because his manager never believed in training. So again, the root cause of it is somewhere the human psychology. So if you really go through all these steps, then you would understand the root cause of any problem. Even though it is like I'm not getting the good marks. Why? Okay, why? Then you will get the root cause that you are not actually getting up early in the morning and then you study, something of that sort. Okay. Yes, it is also called in problem solving why analysis. Yes, yeah, Rasika, that's very true. Yeah. So this is now it's no more what do you say? It is not no more a Toyota's thing. It is like worldwide. It is used. You can use it. Yeah, you can also use it in your if you have any problem statement. So definitely yes, whatever you are saying is right. So okay, apart from this, a person needs what? He needs a passion. Now, I think Kaustubh, someone said that, it's very important for us to speak to people, to convince the people. We should know our product very well. Unless you are passionate about something, you cannot do anything. But only passion will not help you, for sure. It will not help you because I'm passionate about something, but this passion can go down, or it will not be that much in you. It has happened with many people. Initially you're so much passionate, of course you might have also gone through it. You're passionate about something in the beginning, and then after that you realize that I'm no more passionate about it, or why am I not feeling that way? Resilience, so passion is definitely, but with the question, why am I doing this, or why am I going to do this, why am I going to start only this business? This why is absolutely important. If it is only for the wealth creation, this passion will not remain with you, believe me. If you have the wealth creation is the only goal you have, this passion will not sustain for a longer period of time. Because if you don't get that much of profit, it happens in any kind of a business, then your passion will go, because the whole purpose is lost. So understand what your passion is. Very important. It's very important for you. Resilience is your capacity to bounce back, to have that capacity. If something goes wrong, if everything comes to zero, do I have the capacity to start again? This is something, the resilience, risk-taking attitude. Do we have the risk-taking attitude, right attitude, or planning, execution, communication, leadership? Not necessary that everyone has all these things. Okay, if you don't have something, you will have to work on it, and that is you have to get trained. Yeah, okay, I'll definitely talk, please. Yeah, your questions are right. Of course, I'm going to come back to your questions as well. Okay, so risk taking attitude, but it has to be, so there are many types of risk. I'll tell you one thing, like this entrepreneurship topic itself is so big, because many universities offer the entire course in entrepreneurship of 6 months, 1 year. So just actually I cannot just talk about everything in detail, but of course I'm going to touch on those topics which are very important for you to know. So risk taking, there are many types of risk, but if you really see the business which needs minimum investment, okay, that is what you have to start first. Because so there are people, okay, if you have enough money, then of course go for that. But then if you really think that this will be a big risk, then just try to start the business which will not need big kind of an investment. Now, why? I'm going to give you one case study. We are going to discuss that, and that is what happened with that person also. Do you know the failure rate of entrepreneurship is 90%? 10% people reach that mark of $1 billion. Most of them, they actually get shut in first 3 years. Now, why? Of course, we will see the reasons why it happens, but then sometimes we don't take the calculated risk. And that is the reason why we fail. Secondly, if you really see all these skills that I'm talking about, it is directly related to your mind. So your mental health and your physical health, if these two things are intact, then only you can take a risk, you can take right decisions at the right time, you can have the resilience power, we can actually, you can plan, you can communicate, you can have the leadership. See, all these things need a lot of energy of yours. And from where are you going to get this energy? If you are physically weak, if you are mentally weak, then this is not for you. If you think that these skills are lacking, or maybe my health, if you are eating junk food the whole day, from where are you going to get the right kind of energy that you want? If you are the vitamin deficient person, then from where are you going to get this all passion? All these things need a lot of mental health, and that is why stress management is something that is recommended, or maybe the meditation is recommended, the right food is recommended, or maybe the physical exercises. All these things actually creates the foundation for you to, if you want to become entrepreneur. See, when you're doing the job, you can just give a call and say, so I'm not feeling well today, so I'll just take a leave. When you are an entrepreneur, to whom are you going to tell this? Right? So for that reason, your health has to be good, both your mental and physical. Then only you can sustain, you can survive in the world of entrepreneurship. So if you really want in future also, if you want to do this, then please start taking care of your health from today itself. See, we have a youth club, okay, by the way, in our institute, and there I talk to many youth, and for one thing that they all do now is till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, they are on internet. This is not going to work for you, because if you really want to do something in your life, you have to have a good sleep, good night's sleep. It's a must for you. See, if you sleep at 2 o'clock and getting up at 10 o'clock, how will you, or when will you do the business? Come on. And if you still wake up at 7 or 6, then you will be not fresh in the morning. From where are you going to do the business? So if you really want to do business, before going into the technical things, start taking, this is something that you can do right now. You can start it today itself, that just concentrate and focus on your health and mental health. I mean, that is absolutely important. I thought like this is a very important point in all these things. So I'm just thought that I just touch upon that as well. Now, I'm going to tell you about a very important thing. Okay. And this is, now I'm going to tell you a very important term. Okay. Just be very careful. I mean, just listen to me very carefully. When suppose you want to build a house, okay, and you know what we need bricks, we need cement, we need sand, whatever, okay, plastics and wood and what not. Now if you go to the market, you're not going to get it at one place. You will have to go everywhere, here, there, or whatever. So you have some mediators, okay, if you really want to start business. And these mediators are called incubators. These incubators, they help you to build the house, in the sense to build your business. So this is the whole concept of incubator. These people, they actually help you to build the business, build the network, or if you want to talk to the other entrepreneurs, they will also be the mediator for that. So incubators are absolutely important when the person wants to start a business at a grand level. That is why I said there is a difference between entrepreneur and self-employed person. Self-employed is they just start, might be they are just working on their own, they don't have the staff and all. That is called the self-employed, or maybe they have the staff but not many. But those who want to grow their business and want to make it into enterprise, that journey from a startup to enterprise, that journey becomes smooth with the help of incubators, right? So the incubators, what do? They are mentors. Okay, they provide the technical assistance if you want, or maybe they just tell you like where all you can actually have the funds, the location. They will find out a location also for you. Of course, they charge. I mean, nothing is free. Of course, they will charge for all these things. But then if you really want to have a good company, then this is the better, because otherwise, like from where are you going to, if you're from the business family, this is something is very easy for you. You don't need it because you know, okay, from where will you get the bricks, from where will you get the sand, you know that. But for the person who doesn't know anything, so where will he go? They go to incubators, right? So incubators are something like they are the mediators, okay, the facilitators. I mean, there is one more concept called accelerator also, but then that is applicable to the existing company. The company already exists, and then they want to expand, and then these accelerators come and then they actually help them. But here incubators are more of they are related to startups or the enterprise, okay? So they help you like a friend, yeah, but with charges. So we have China, see, 11,800 incubators, and India has 520. So we have a long way to go. That's what I said. Now here also you have an opportunity, you know, if you really want to be an incubator, but you should know everything about the business, absolutely everything. So China has more, and definitely the number of incubators doesn't actually matter much, but then the more the incubators are, I think the prices would differ, right? Because there are more. So they also have the competition among themselves. So there will be competitive prices. So they will offer the services at the competitive prices. So we need more incubators because we have nearly the same population. So definitely we need more incubators. Now these are some names: Nascom or Angel Prime, iCreate, IndaWest. There are many, 520 we have. So I just thought like the top incubators, I will name them. So these are the incubators in India, and they are working definitely on it. So what do? Is this, okay, you can take a ladder and go and reach your goal, but then they provide you with parachute, and sometimes they provide you the rocket also, so that you can reach faster. That is what incubators do. Otherwise, without them also you can have the business. So I'm not saying that you need to have them, but then you can. Okay, now this is a case study. That's what I was telling you, that the failure rate is really much higher, and why the businesses fail is See, this is the Yummist. Uh, this was launched in 2014. A very innovative idea, by the way. It was a very innovative idea. That person was really passionate. What he did, he actually daily meal management. Okay, so that is what he was doing. So he had his own kitchen in Gurgaon, in Delhi. Okay, so he started his own kitchen. It was big enough. He employed the people, and then he was just sending those meals, those whoever, I mean, if the husband and wife both are working, then who will cook? I mean, that was the basic question. So people wanted ghar ka khana, or ye ghar ka khana is nothing but Yummist. And in the beginning, it actually accelerated. Their profit was much higher. And then what they did, within 6 months, they started one more branch in Bangalore, or maybe or 2-3 places. That is what 20% was their growth rate year on year. 2015, and they closed down in 2017. What went wrong then? What went wrong? The first thing is they started expanding without knowing the risk involved in it. See, you have to concentrate on one thing at a time. I happened to meet, Asia Pacific head of finance department. He is a CFO. So I happened to meet him and I asked him this question, like, why the startups fail? He said, like, we have to concentrate on one thing at a time. Sometimes we want, of course, diversification is very important, but not in the beginning. You have to wait, understand the market. Yummist actually lost on one more thing, is like the competitors. Because when they started, there were no competitors, but suddenly people started doing it. Okay, so they did not pay much attention to it. People had the complaints. Customer service, now this is something that I'm going to come to. Why startups fail? Customer service is, it has to be that India is lacking after sales service. We don't concentrate on it. So once your product is sold, you should have sold, so after that you should have some kind of the customer service. Okay, we are lacking in it. We lack innovation. Sometimes you start a business and then, okay, chalo. So I started my business for just with the communication skills, but then I had to add other things as well. So this was the innovation. I had to do it. So you cannot just have one product and chalo uske saath hamari zindagi hogi. No, you have to be innovative, right? So this is something. Sometimes legal disputes, that is sometimes in your, not in your hand, but you have to really be aware of what you're doing. Okay, so legally, I mean, if you buy land or maybe buy some place for your business, you should know whether there is a legal dispute or not. Sometimes lack of focus also, you focus not on one thing, you focus on so many things at the same time. So that also sometimes the startups fail. Now, having said this is not something that I'm just telling you to scare you. No, but we need to be little careful about this. As I said, that you need to take that risk. You should have that risk taking attitude, but it should be a calculated risk as well. Don't take the risk because somebody else is saying, my friend has done that business and he's so successful, that is why I'm doing. Not a right reason. That's what I said. Just make your why clear, why you're doing it, not because somebody else is doing. Because I have a passion, because I know that I can do these things better. I have that innovative ideas in my mind. So all those things, okay, and whether you can survive in the market. You have to survey, you have to do the market survey, understand that, and then only it's going to happen. Otherwise, you will start a business. And I'll tell you one thing, I will not say it is a failure. It is more of a learning process. The only thing is there is a cost involved in it. And of course, any learning has a cost. So are you ready to bear that cost? I think our society plays a very important role over here. Your family plays. See, actually, what advantage that we have in India is our family. If you have a family who can support you, then nothing like it. If you see European countries or if you see America, they don't have this system. So the government has to create a system for them where they can support the entrepreneurs. For us, we are fortunate enough to have the families Okay, of course you have to convince, but then still that's there. I'm just going to tell you about the happening sectors in India for entrepreneurs. First is tourism. You know, I mean, I happen to actually train many tourists during this lockdown, and they said that, I mean, we have so much of potential in this market, untapped potential. Okay, people, I don't know why we still are not doing, but for this definitely infrastructure has to be there, which I think we are lacking a bit. Now, I'll just share some data with you. In 2019, the whole business of from the tourism was $194 billion. 8% of the total employment was in tourism sector, and it is predicted by 2026 it will be $460 billion. So tourism is going to be a big thing. The Incredible India campaign that actually helped the tourism, definitely. Then medical tourism we have a coastal tourism. We have so many tourism because if you see, our country is a diverse country. So when you have a diverse country, what else we want? We have the historical monuments. We have so many palaces over here. So it's not only we have Taj Mahal, we have so many things. Apart from that, of course, Taj Mahal is a great thing, but apart from that, there are so many other things which are unexplored in India. So tourism is definitely one of the things. The second is the textile. Yes, textile is also, because as I said that we have the best textile market. It was expected to create the 35 million jobs. It is expected in textile. Now, textile does not mean only producing the cloth, you know, it is more than that. It's like you have the fashion designing, we have the textile machinery, and so of course it is said that it is going to be a golden era of Indian textile that is going to come up, you know, in these next 10 years. So we are going to see that. Media, okay, food processing is also one of the things, but media, because you are the mass communication students, I'm going to talk about that. Over 4 lakh crore industry. It is going to be a 4 lakh crore industry by 2025. I mean, it is but obvious, right? Now we don't have only TV, television. In 90s, we have only 2 channels, the DD1 and DD2. See, now we have n number of channels. We have n number of websites. We have, I mean, advertisement industry is going to grow like anything, right? We have the mobile internet advertisement. It is going to increase. I mean, see, the growth rate is 25%. So media is going to be entertainment. Now it is a click away, right? So this is going to be a booming sector. Definitely is going to be a booming sector. That's what I'm saying. We are a developing economy, so take advantage of it. And that is going to happen. TV advertisement industry. So these are all going to grow definitely in future. Toys industry. Now it is dominated by China. Definitely you go anywhere and you will get made in China toys. But then toys is something that we are going to, yeah, definitely we are going to tap that. We should tap that market rather. It is only 0.5% of the global market share is our share, only 0.5. So it is actually, it has a potential to grow to 2.3 billion by 2024. And it is going to be 5%, okay, of the global average. So that is why toys industry, healthcare industry, of course, it is booming. Now, I don't have to say much about that. It is a booming industry. Recycling business is something that we have to really see and take it very seriously, because plastic is something and people are doing business. I mean, I know many people who are into this business and they are doing quite well. So recycling is one, packaging is one. So definitely we are on the right track. I think we are growing. I mean, if you see all the statistics that says that we are growing. So definitely, yes. So this is like the basic things that you should know to start the business is you should have a PAN number. If you don't have, you should have it one. Then tax account number is something that you have if you want to start a business. You have to obtain a certificate, okay, from the municipal corporation that is called a SHOP Act. You have to do that. GST registration is a must now. And check the company's name availability. Now, why am I telling you this? Because you name the company and then you see that it is already, it's like a trademark. So you will have to understand that before you name the company, if that name is available, otherwise you will have the copyright problem. So that is why this is very important. Now I come to the last thing. After all these things, first is don't get distracted. Now this is a very nice quote, so I thought like I'll just share that with you. Never tell yourself that you need the biggest brand in the world. You have to work at the present moment, what I can do, the best thing that you can do, and what you can do tomorrow. These are the only two things that you can do. Of course, you have to have the planning, the execution. You have to have good people who have a good kind of an experience, understand, have the technical knowledge, have the crave for that knowledge, because technical knowledge is very important in all this sector. And last but not the least, it's very important for you, of course, to take the initiative, do something, and try it. At the most, what will happen? You will get an experience, right? Have the calculated risk, take the calculated risk. Don't do it because somebody else is doing, because then that is not the reason to start a business. And then that passion will not be with you for a longer period of time. Take care of your health. Just take care of your mental health and the physical health. That would really help you to, sustain in this business. And from my side, all the very best to all of you, and thank you very much for being the patient listeners. And I'm going to take up your whatever you have written in the chat box. If you have any questions, you can ask, or we can whatever. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. That was very enlightening. I'm sure it was a big help for our budding entrepreneurs. Yes, any questions?
Yeah, I can see one question. First of all, okay, let me just see. First is Kaustubh. You said like it is told to me by my grandfather once that if a business retains itself 1,000 days, it will survive longer. Very true, very true. And that's what I said. Like if you really want to sustain that for a longer period of time, then you have to do it. And question is a little bit out of box. Can entrepreneurship help musicians to market their music? See, music is a creativity. Okay, it definitely, what do you say, musicians, if you want to do the musicians to market their music, yes, it is a creativity, entertainment, and you don't need much of the investment, so go for it. I would say something which doesn't need much of investment, you should go for it. Why you should stop? And it will create a market. You have to create your own market. That's what I would say. And as I said, you take a calculated risk, and I don't think any risk. And we would love to hear you hear the music, definitely. One more question was there, right?
Kawaljeet ji, he has asked, do you feel
Yeah, same. Yeah, same question, I think.
is required to be integrated?
On patenting processes, oh my god, it is a big thing. But if you really want, you to, I know one person, okay, who actually helps all the entrepreneurs and all the youngsters to file the patent. So I will share that number with you, ma'am. And those who want to just go for it, definitely you can contact that person. He is working with DRDO as a senior scientist, and he helps youngsters. Okay, so definitely I think I'll share that with you number. Okay,
Actually,
patenting.
question you missed. Do you feel in India rural entrepreneurship is required to be integrated with urban entrepreneurship?
Absolutely, yes. But you know one thing, like now the rural entrepreneurship has declined. The number has declined. It was 52%. It has come to 51%, 1% by 1%. Why? Because rural, they don't believe in agriculture anymore. I mean, they don't want to go for it. And it is really a sad thing, because agriculture also provides a lot of opportunity for you if you really want to start a business. So yes, that we have to integrate that. We have to collaborate. That's what I starting point itself was, that the collaboration, without collaboration, this entrepreneurship is not going to survive for long. So yes, collaboration has to be there, and we have to do something. So yes, rural entrepreneurship is very important for us, because India is still backed by the agriculture, the economy.
Anything else? Okay. Okay, then we'll conclude the session, ma'am. Thank you so
Yes.
much for joining us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure actually.
Yeah.
It was lovely talking to all these people.
Yeah. Thank you to all the students.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I'll see you tomorrow for the next session. Thank you, ma'am. Bye,
Yeah.
everyone.
Bye. Bye. Bye.